Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. Ukrainian troops begin operations on HIMARS. Russian army is cornered. Mutual attacks on the fronts increase their intensity. Ukraine is trying new tactics. Russia cannot prevent attacks. Moves he can't resist cause him to take big damage. In recent weeks, the Ukrainian army has carried out successful operations, cornering many Russian soldiers. With the new tactics he developed, success became inevitable. Moscow is having difficulty coping with the problems. Ukrainian troops are securing their advance with various tactics on many fronts. Ukraine, which has been challenging the Russian troops with different tactics on many fronts before, is again developing tactics. Developing a strategy with tanks and advancing in various directions, the Ukrainian troops were successful many times, besieged the Russian troops, and recaptured many areas. This time, it is stated that the Ukrainian armed forces have given a new direction to their operations with the HIMARS missile systems. It has been reported that the tactics of striking military equipment with these missile systems have been radically changed. These HIMARS missile systems came from the United States and have guided the war many times. Thanks to these systems, Ukraine was able to destroy Russian military equipment many times and gain superiority in many regions. Ukrainian forces were normally hitting a more specific target, according to what was stated. However, with the newly developed tactics, it now uses the M30A1 missiles, which is stated to have 180,000 ammunition. Thanks to these missiles, larger areas can be damaged by spreading the ammunition within a radius of tens of meters. Extremely sensitive and powerful, these missiles cannot be stopped. According to the statements, these missiles cannot be destroyed due to their characteristics. Because as soon as you try to stop it, the damage is spread over a wider area during the explosion of the missile. This leaves Russia helpless against these missile systems. This makes the importance of these missile systems more critical. Therefore, it is very important for the course of the war that the United States continues to send these systems. In order for the Ukrainian troops to gain an advantage on the fronts, it is necessary to continue to use each and every military equipment efficiently. Ukrainian army is gradually increasing its powerful counterattacks. Even during the day, Ukrainian planes carried out 5 airstrikes on critical positions of the Russian forces. It was announced that one of these attacks was carried out against the Russian weapons and equipment, 2 against the strong points of the platoon, and 2 against the air defense systems of the Russian forces. Hit of each move shows both the success of the Ukrainian troops and the inadequacy of the defense of the Russian forces. It was announced that Ukraine's missile and artillery units hit a critical Russian command post. After these moves, the losses of Russia began to increase seriously. If a solution cannot be found in this situation, Moscow will use its last trump cards in vain. This situation will force the Russian troops to suffer greater defeats. Ukraine continues to destroy the military equipment of the Russian forces. War is getting more and more costly for Russia every day. Ukrainian Air Force is destroying Russian planes and helicopters day by day, significantly reducing Russia's air operational power. Russian troops continue their attacks on the fronts. Russian troops continue to attack the Sumy region in the northeast of the country. Attacks on the Sumy front do not end. This time, it was reported that the Serodina Buda and Krasnopilia regions on this front were attacked. Russian troops struck 28 times a day on this front. Russian troops deployed mortars in the Krasnopilia area and reportedly fired 12 mortar shells. It was reported that he had deployed mortar shells in the Serodina Buda area and fired 16 mortar bombs. Russian forces are constantly attacking this region. Russia wants to achieve dominance due to the critical location of this region. However, he could not achieve the success he expected for a long time in this region. Russian forces also carried out more than 30 attacks during the day with 1 airstrike, 3 missile attacks, and multiple launch rocket systems. It was also announced that Russian forces attacked over 15 regions, including the Kharkiv and Kupiansk regions. Russian forces continued to carry out missile attacks without slowing down. As a result of the attacks of the Russian forces, many regions were affected. Russian forces continue to attack Ukraine's critical infrastructure facilities. Russia has carried out multiple attacks on Ukraine's critical infrastructure facilities. It was announced that Russia's drones and rockets launched on Monday hit 10 oblasts, most of which were known to have been made to energy facilities, and also damaged 18 targets. Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal shared details from the region. Shmyhal explained that the results of the attacks could be much worse, but thanks to the successful work of the Air Defense Force, 44 of the more than 50 missiles were shot down. It was also announced by which commands the downed missiles were shot down. Central Air Command shot down 18 missiles, Southern Air Command 12, Eastern Air Command 9, and Western Air Command also shot down 5 missiles. Oleksandr Staruk, the head of the Zaporizhzhia Oblast Military Administration, also explained the effects of the missile attacks of the Russian forces in this region. Staruk reported that many critical infrastructure facilities were damaged as a result of missile attacks by Russian troops. In addition, another region affected by missile attacks is the Cherkasy Oblast. Head of the Cherkasy Oblast Military Administration, Ihor Taburets, announced that the Russian forces attacked the critical infrastructure facility and the region was affected as a result. While the Russian troops carried out their missile attacks so intensely, Ukraine re-emphasized that it wanted defense systems from Western countries. Advisor to the President of the Presidential Office, Mikhailo Podolyak, urged Western countries to supply air systems to Ukraine. Podolyak isn't the only one talking about the importance of defense systems. Ukrainian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Olena Kolenko also emphasized the importance of Ukraine's need for anti-missile and anti-aircraft defense systems. He stated that Russia poses a threat not only to Ukraine but also to neighboring countries. For this reason, he explained that it is critical for Ukraine to acquire modern defense systems as soon as possible. It is also known that the Ukrainian troops use the incoming aid very efficiently and effectively. This, in turn, provides incentives for aid from countries. But accelerating aid is of greater importance in order to gain more advantages on the fronts. Meanwhile, a Russian attack helicopter Kar-52 was shot down in the Kherson region on the southern front. Losses of the Russian forces are not limited to these. General Staff of the Ukrainian forces shared the latest losses of Russian forces. Ukrainian troops destroyed 14 tanks, 4 artillery systems, 32 armored combat vehicles, and 1 drone of the Russian forces. Ukraine also announced that the Russian forces suffered the most losses at the Lyman and Avdiivka fronts. These fronts are known to be quite critical. After the great defeat of the Russian army on the Lyman front, Moscow still does not accept the defeat in the region and continues its attacks. However, it has not been successful. On the contrary, more and more military resources and equipment are lost every day due to unsuccessful attempts. On the other hand, Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko and Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin announced that they had a quick meeting. It is reported that the purpose of this meeting is to plan common goals for 2021. As it is known, these two names had taken steps to establish a joint union before. Thereupon, it was announced that both leaders provided military equipment and ammunition assistance. The duo's increased military support and attacks from Belarusian lands suggested that Belarus was also trying to be included in the war. In the future, the decisions and steps to be taken by the leaders of the country will be of more critical importance. This leaves no margin of error for either country. For this reason, countries must now carefully consider every decision they make. Progress in the war must be carried out in line with strategic objectives. Over time, we will see more clearly how the war will take shape. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.